everyone, and welcome to my rainbow neon marbled effect workshop. In this workshop I'm going to teach you how to create a design that not only encompasses marbling but also neon and also rainbow. So I really hope you enjoy it, so let's get started. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Rainbow Geode Neon Pigment Marbled Workshop. So in this workshop I'm going to show you how to create a rainbow marbled effect like this. Okay, so what I've done, I have already prepared my tip, and if we were doing this on a client we will have done our prep, our base coat, and then I've just done one coat of my white, because with this technique it is very easy to build up too many layers of your product, and obviously you don't want that thickness on your client's nails. So I've just done the one coat of my white gel polish, and the reason I've used white is because we are going to do a marble with white and black, so by the time we put the second coat of white on, it's really going to help for our neon pigments to pop. So talking of neon pigments, I am using the set from Alchemy, and this is their neon pigment range, and as you can see we've got lots of different colours in there, and I'm going to be doing the rainbow today. So I'm going to be using the pink, the orange, the yellow, the green, the blue and the purple. Okay, so when you are using pigments, make sure that you tap them out first, okay, because we want to make sure that all that pigment's in the pot and not sat too much in the lid, so when we undo them it's not going to make a horrendous mess. And then we are also, I am going to put them in the order of which I'm going to place them onto the nail, and when I come to do it I'm going to be working from the product that is in the lid rather than from the pot, so that we don't contaminate our pot. If you do need more, then just decant a little bit down into your lid, and then your pot stays nice and clean and true to colour. Okay, so we're not quite at that stage yet, so I'm going to pop those to one side, and I am going to show you how to create the marble. Now with a normal marble we almost want to create a really nice ombre fade, but with this we don't want to blend our colours too much. We want it to stay quite stripy. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go in with my Alchemy Onyx, which is the black. Okay, and I'm also going to be using the Alchemy Saltstone, which is the white. Now it's really important not to do too much colour when it comes to doing your dots for the marble. So normally I would be using a palette, but because my palette is quite reflective for the purposes of the video, it doesn't make for good videos. And I'm just going to pop a line of dots, and I don't want too much product, so it's literally just touching our palette with the edge or point of our brush. Okay, and you do want your dots to be quite even. You don't want them to be too uneven, because otherwise we'll get an uneven distribution of product. So the next thing I'm going to do is go in with my Saltstone, which is the white, and again I'm just going to touch my product down onto my palette in between the black dots. Now obviously if your white dots are bigger than your black dots, you're going to have more white on the nail, and if your black dots are bigger than your white dots, you're going to have more black on the nail. So it's entirely up to you how you distribute it, and it's really good to have a play with this technique so that you get to know the size of your dots and how that transfers onto the nail. Now you have two options with regard to a brush to use. You can either use a flat square gel brush, okay, like this one, or you can use an ombre brush. So an ombre brush has thinner bristles at the end, but obviously thicker. You can see it slightly there, thicker bristles at the bottom. So this is great for picking up the colour, and I personally prefer to use my ombre brush for this technique, but there's no reason why you can't use a square flat gel brush. So what I'm going to do, I have prepared obviously my tip, okay, so that has got its one coat of white gel polish on there, and it has still got its inhibition layer on there. All right, now the way I'm going to pick up my product is I'm going to start at this end. I'm a right-handed tech, so I start this way. Obviously if you're left-handed you will start this side, and I'm literally in the center of my brush going to pick up all of that product. So that is all now sat on top of my brush, and I'm just going to move this out the way so you guys can see as I pop this down on the nail. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop it down on the nail, but I'm going to turn my brush so that the product slides off of my brush down onto the nail. Okay, so that has given me a marbled effect, but I don't want it to blend like we would want a marble to blend. We want it to be quite liney. So I'm just going to go in and clean off my brush again, and then I'm going to go back down through that second line of product, and I'm going to pop that down. Again, turning my brush slightly. I'm just going to carry that product up, and you can see we're not creating too much thickness. We want a nice even cure, so we need to make sure that we are doing a nice even distribution of product. So again, I've just gone through my product and laid that product down, and I just need to do a couple more lines of my product. So I'm just doing my dots again, and then I will be able to pick up my product for marbling. And again, I'm just going to swipe through. So I've used a little bit more white in this one just to create that more liney effect. And I'm just going to pull that out so it's not too thick. And again, pulling that up. And creating that marbled but not blended effect. Okay, so I'm just going to let that settle just for a little while, just to let that self level. Okay, and I'm going to move on to my next tip. Now every time you do one of these nails, they're obviously going to be completely different, because it would be physically impossible to get that marble on the go exactly the same on every single nail. So again, I'm just going to go and do my dots, and I'm going to use a little bit more white in this one so you guys can see the difference. Okay, so my white dots are going to be slightly bigger than my black dots, and that is just so that you can see the difference. Obviously if you were doing a full set, then you would have that consistency throughout the whole set, and you would try and make your dots the same sort of size for every single nail, because then you will get a consistent marble geode look. So I'm just finishing off that 3 lines of dots. I'm going to clean off my ombre brush because it can go quite grey So we want a nice clean colour. So I'm just cleaning off my brush. I'm going to grab my tip and I'm going to move that to one side, and then I'm going to scooch through that product, pick it up and lay it down, and I'm actually going to go more in a circle fashion just to create a little bit more movement in that product. Okay, so again, cleaning off my brush, going through my second line, laying that product down, and then I'm just going to pull that up this way and pull that down again, just laying that product. We're not swirling it, we're not marbling it, we're not blending it, because we want those lines in there. So I'm just going to again lay my product. If there's any areas that you feel need a white line, then just go into your white and pick that up separately. And then lay that product down again into that gap. So you can see a completely different look that we've created here, and I'm just going to add a white vein coming down through there because I feel that's a little bit too much black in that area. So to do that, I'm just going to use my brush and lay that white down through. Okay, so I'm waiting for that product to self level out slightly just before I pop it in the lamp for a cure, and that is now going to go in for a full cure. Okay, so pigment time. So like I said, I'm going to work mainly from the lid of my pigments because that does have enough product in there to be able to work with. If it hasn't, then just decant a little from your pots so that you're not contaminating your pots with the previous colour that you have used. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go in with a really short brush. Now you can use like a fluffy brush, or you can also use a it's like a applicator for eyeshadow, but I find that using a brush is that much easier because you're able to control the products that little bit more. So I'm just going to pop this on in a rainbow fashion. So I'm following the lines of my marble, and then when I come to each colour, I'm just going to blend them out slightly just by rubbing them together. So I'm just going to go in with my yellow. And then cleaning your brush each time so you're not contaminating your colours. And I'm being firm but gentle because you don't want to rub too hard that you rub off your pigment. And I'm going to go in with my blue. And then right on that very tip, I'm going to go in with my purple. Now I only partially cured this to enable my pigment powders to stick that little bit better. So what I'm actually going to do now, I'm going to pop that in for the rest of its cure. So my other nail has now cured, or partially cured, and I'm going to go in again, but I'm going to go the other way this time. So I'm going to go in with my pink down the bottom, up into my orange, and then into my yellow, and again when I get to those colours, just blend them out slightly. And then going into my green, my blue, and then my purple. I'm just gonna pop a little bit more yellow just to help to make that pop, and then my orange as well, and then my pink. So again, this is only partially cured, so I'm going to pop that in now for a full cure. Okay, so our other nail has now fully cured, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop on a no wipe top coat, and this is going to help to seal in our pigment powders, but it also helps to make our dark black appear darker and our neons to pop that little bit more. Okay, so obviously if this was on a client, we would be making sure that we weren't touching our client's cuticle area or side walls, and we are capping that free edge. So that is now going to go in for a full cure, and I'm going to do exactly the same with our other nail. So I'm just going to dust this off slightly because we've got a little bit of loose pigment powder just sat on top. So again, I'm going to go in with my no wipe top coat. And that's going to go in for a full cure. Okay, so this nail has now fully cured, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just buff it over slightly, because obviously where we have done our marble, it's not, you can see from that line of light, it's not necessarily a nice even texture to the nail, which obviously is what we want. We want that nice smooth even texture. So I am just going to go in with a fine grit buffer. Okay, so this is a 180, and I'm just going to file this really gently just to even out the surface of that nail, okay, because where we did our marbling, it's not, you have some areas that are thicker than others, so when we do our top coat, that throws our top coat off and that line of light. So I'm just scooching over the nail with my file, making sure that that is nice and even, but you also need to make sure that you are not filing too much into that top coat, because you do not want to start taking off that pigment powder that we have put in there. You don't want to file down too much that you start going down into the pigment powder. And that is why as well I use a no wipe top coat, because you do have the ability to, you don't have to wipe off your inhibition layer. You do have that ability to be able to file straight away. So I'm just going down centre and also to the side, making sure that that product, or the surface of the nail should I say, is really nice and even. Okay. Now I'm going to go in with my white block buffer just to remove any unwanted scratches. Again, really lightly. You don't have to do this. Don't go too hard. Okay, so I'm just going to dust that nail off. Alright, and now I'm going to go in with my no wipe top coat again. And this is why I only did one coat of the white to begin with, because we don't want the thickness of this nail to be too thick. Look at that, that's stunning. So we've now got a really nice even surface to that nail. You can see there it's much more even now. Okay. And I'm going to pop that in for a full 60-second cure. And while that's in there, I'm going to do exactly the same with regard to this nail. So just to even it up, I'm just going to tidy up that free edge. Pop it back down on there. You could leave it lumpy bumpy, but it just doesn't sit right with me. I like a nice smooth surface to the nail. I've got to make sure it's nice and even. Just going over that free edge. And then scooching in round. If you guys have watched my filing technique, then this is exactly the same as if I had done an acrylic enhancement. So file down the side wall, I'm just going to hold it there, file down your side wall, file around your cuticle, and then do your other side wall, and then even out the texture of that nail from side wall to side wall. So even if you don't do acrylics, I'd recommend that you guys watch my filing routine workshop, because it will really help you with regard to your prep, and also for designs like this that do need that refinement. Okay, so I am just going to dust that off, and then again, like with the last nail, I'm going to go over with my no wipe top coat, and you'll see those colours pop back out. And you get a real sense of depth as well in this design. It's really lovely. Okay, and that's going to go in again for a full cure. So our first nail has now been removed from the lamp. I'm just going to remove that pigment powder that's on my desk. And there you have it, a rainbow geode marbled neon design. I really don't have the correct name for this design, but that is exactly what it is. So if I just show you, wait for that to focus, you can see we've got the different tones of our neon in there, and you've also created that depth. So like here, for example, you've got a real depth between that pink and that orange, and also here with our blue and our green. It's just a really beautiful design, all using gel polish. It almost looks like it's encapsulated, but obviously it's just your gel polish and your pigments, and this would look great on toes as well. And there you have our second nail, so you can see how they flow from one nail to the other, but they are completely different, and every single time you do this design it will be completely different and individual, because it does depend on obviously how you put your pigments on and how you put your marble on. And that completes this workshop. So that completes this workshop. I really hope you guys have enjoyed it, and if you did, please make sure you click the like button, and if you want to see any future workshops, please make sure you click the subscribe button and the notification bell. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you all soon.